Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy late Hanukkah for those who just recently celebrated Hanukkah. Welcome to our hometown, Michael Monaco podcast. I am your host, Michael Monaco, and this is episode 11. And I have a very special guest, Sophia Hoffman, who has twice been a contestant on The Voice, but I'm going to let her share more about that in just a minute. But first, of course, these programs do not happen without the support of our sponsors. So I want to give a shout out to Kevin and Kimberly Marshall at CopyLink. And I want to give a shout out to our wonderful City of Chula Vista's food waste program. Remember to feed the green. When you compost and recycle, it helps our environment and it helps our community. So please use the containers that you are given by Republic Services appropriately: black for trash, blue for recycling, and green for everything else. And then, of course, my friend Minnie Rezlowski with 24K Realty. So got that out of the way. Let's get started. I cannot tell you how excited I am about our guest. I have known this young lady almost her whole life. Her parents are near and dear to me. They are incredible people. And I think when you get to know Sophia Hoffman, you'll see that they are also incredibly good parents. But Sophia Hoffman, if you don't know that name, put in your memory, because this is a rising star. This is a talent that is coming out of Chula Vista that will be nationally recognized in the future. Not just because I say so, because when you hear her quality of talent, a lot of you are going to become her fan base. And I encourage that because she is a kind, wonderful person with a heart of gold, but she has got a tremendous talent. And I am proud that she is a child of our city of Chula Vista. So Sophia Hoffman, say hi to our audience.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
So for those of you who are fans of The Voice, obviously she looks familiar. She has performed both as a contestant on season 23 and then most recently 24. Season 23 was a growing season for you.
Sure.
You got to the stage, but you did not get picked. But that's okay.
Yes, it worked out.
And there's a lot we could talk about that, and you should go on. I don't know if you still have any of that posted on YouTube or if it's still available.
Yes, it's still on YouTube, actually.
Yeah. She's a bold person. Don't mistake her kind demeanor. She is fierce and she is bold and she is committed. And she went out in season 23 with a song that I think surprised a lot of the judges. I think it was a great choice. I think it was a personal choice. It was not a generic choice. It wasn't playing to the crowds. It was playing to your heart. And it surprised me that one of the judges did not see it the same way that the rest of America did. But she got through that. She went back, and then she came out punching on season number 24. And I want to show you a clip of exactly how she came out in style, in class, and she came to play. Here it is.
But I'm sorry, and all my friends, they know when it's true. Don't know who I am without you. Got it bad, baby. Got it bad. Let's go, baby. I need someone on days like this to do, yeah. On days like this, tell me.
So I can almost end the podcast with just that soundbite, because how do you top that? I mean, that is powerful.
Thank you.
And that is awesome. And that is exciting. So we're going to kind of go back in time. We're going to use that as kind of like, that is the most recent of your pinnacle of success.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how did you get there?
Yes.
Because I think everybody has a backstory, and we know what you've done. Let's figure out and share with the audience, how did you get there? So let's talk about Sophia as a young performer, as someone that, like, what is your memory of your first performance? When did that really just go in your head? Like, oh, I like this.
That was actually, so I was always music would just always felt different to me. I noticed when, I'd go out with my parents and, we'd do things, music just always felt like it was just something different to me. I do remember my memory of just performing and just kind of realizing like, oh my God, this is for me. I would actually make characters and write scripts, and I would write lyrics and I'd write songs. And I'd go to my grandma's house every Friday with my family. We'd all do that. We'd all get together and I would perform. And I would stand on top of the kitchen table and I'd use a spoon and I would just start singing the song that I prepared for my family on Friday night. And I had characters. I mean, my family can even say, yes, this was true. I had a character and I still remember his name was Marty Garbanzo. I don't know why, but I would act and dress like him and I would play this part. Like I would just make skits and films and sing and dance and I would just make shows for my family. It's really how it started.
At what age do you think that was you started?
I was around, I would say 6 or 7. It was
Okay.
when it started and it continued more. Or actually, no, it started when I was 5, 6 or 7.
Wow.
One of those.
So you were almost born
Yes.
to perform.
Mhm.
That is great. So obviously, performances always have fun outcomes, exciting outcomes,
Mhm.
sometimes not so great outcomes. But
Mhm.
what is one of your funniest memories? You never fell off the kitchen table,
No,
did you?
never did that. No,
Okay,
never
good.
did
That's good. Did you ever tap dance on the kitchen
I
table?
never did that. I
Okay.
did tap dance, just not on the table.
So what's one of your funniest memories when you were
Um,
performing?
I would say my funniest memory performing, I have a video actually too on my phone. I have deep in my camera roll, but I walked out in this like in these glasses and I had this hat on and it was the character Marty Garbanzo I was performing. And I just remember like nobody was paying attention. So I took it off and I was like, and then I went, Sophia Hoffman. And then I just like took a bow and everyone just started clapping. Like I think that was a funny memory because nobody was paying attention to me. And I was like, you're gonna pay attention to me.
So obviously you love attention.
Yes. I think yes. I do.
That is good because you're
Yeah.
you're a great personality.
Thank
So yes.
you.
I mean, you could just see just in the first few minutes, her smile, her demeanor,
Thank you.
her spirit. You just
Mhm.
can't help but not really like that. It's contagious because I'm even more excited now. And for those of you who know me, who will say he's a very excitable person, you've got me even more excited.
Oh, great.
So awesome. Awesome. So let's talk about so you've been performing for a while. You've got the confidence. You've got a little bit thicker skin as a young person. So when did you first move from a participating part
Mhm.
as a choir or as a
Mhm.
supporting actor or actress to a lead? And when was that? And what's your memories of that?
Mhm. So I actually was a part of a musical theater group in San Diego. It was called CYT. And I did that for a long time. I did it for years.
And what
Like
does CYT stand for?
Christian Youth Theater. Sorry, I
you.
didn't explain that. But yeah, Christian Youth Theater. And it was basically just a theater group of a bunch of kids who are around my age. I think the oldest was 18. So it was below 8 or
18 and younger.
yeah, 18 and younger. um, I did that for a long time and it was defeating actually. I would audition for shows, I'd take acting classes. That really like sparked my my skills a little bit. It kind of just like, oh, like I didn't know that this just came naturally easy to me talking in front of people. I kind of learned how to talk to people throughout CYT. I learned how to dance and I took a bunch of dance classes, acting classes. I kind of did everything. But yeah, I was doing that and I would audition for shows. We had, musical shows and I would audition for them, but I always got ensemble. So I would audition for a lead role, and I wouldn't get it. And it was just really defeating because I felt like it was a little political at times
Mhm.
and it was really defeating. So I moved to another county and I was like, let's try a show here. and I ended up getting one of the lead roles of the Sour Kangaroo in Seussical the Musical. And that was a great role for me. She was sassy, she was fierce.
Were you a
and
kangaroo?
I was the kangaroo. I was the sassy one. Like,
oh
don't
no,
bring
you
that
didn't,
into my
sassy?
jungle. Yes, I had red nails and everything. It was crazy. That was the most Sophia I've ever been on stage. That was when I realized, oh, this is who I am. I am sassy.
Yeah.
And I realized that effect made an impact on people, that who I was, and it shined through this character. And in the character, it was weird because she was a villain, but I don't resonate with that. But I feel like I have this like sassiness to me, this like don't cross me kind of thing. But I feel like that role really like I still have a place for it in my heart, even though I was like a little kid. I think I was a freshman in high school, and I just realized, when I would take pictures with like the little kids and everything, they were so excited, just so excited to talk to me, to meet me. And a lot of the parents were like, "Oh my God, you're so good." And I think that was where I got a lot of my motivation from. And from there, it kind of carried on to like, maybe I am outgrowing this a little bit. Kind of realized that later on.
It must be empowering to find a role that actually lets you be who you are, that you've
Yes.
hidden inside for a while and say, wait a second,
For real.
I get to be who I am
Yeah.
in this role. And you owned it.
Mhm.
I would love to see that performance. I would
Yes.
imagine you owned it very
Yeah.
well. So you were performing, obviously, singing and dancing. And you probably are a double threat, if not probably triple threat. What made you dedicate more effort in your high school years and now into your young adult years into just singing and in performing and singing? What made you say, I think this is where I'm going to put more of my effort into?
That's a great question, actually. I started in high school. I honestly, I mean, everyone who's listening to this, I feel like when you want to do something and, kind of accomplish your dreams, it's almost like, where do you even start doing something so big? It's like, where do I start? How do I get noticed? Who are the people that I need to be around to get here? I was so like, I mean, shoot, let's just try everything, just mark it off. I wanted to do the national anthem at my high school just so I could get experience being around a really big crowd under pressure, live, under an audience. I was like performing, but it was like, performances that were very like structured, and I realized, when I started going into this avenue of like being able to sing in front of like an assembly or my high school graduation, I sang at, and also like football games I sang at, it really built me and my character a little bit. So I kind of started in high school, my young adulthood. I kind of started with like singing the national anthem at places publicly, and it was great. And then while I was doing that, I was also auditioning virtually for the shows, The Voice, American Idol, and America's Got Talent. And I do have a story with American Idol. So it was actually the day that I was going to sing for the national anthem for my football homecoming game, right? And it was a big game. Everyone was there. It was a lot of people were there. Parents were there. A lot of my friends were there. And I was already under this stress because I had my virtual audition for American Idol. I had to bring it. I made it to the winner's circle online. So basically, if I had made it past that round, then I would have actually been flown out to LA, done the whole thing, knowing that now that I've been on The Voice. But I didn't, after that winner's circle, I actually didn't hear anything back. They just said, "Thank you so much for your time, everybody, and we'll get back to you." Never heard anything
Crickets.
back. I was like my heart was like ripped out of my chest. Like it sucked. It really did. And I had to pull it together and on sing in front of what, 200 people, I mean, it was a lot of pressure for me, but I did it.
What do they say? I won't even say what they say anymore. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yes.
But the reality is I hope you're catching and underlying the theme here, because that's really the purpose. One of the main purposes of this podcast is tenacity.
Yes.
And we talked about this early on, is for those of you who are watching, who are parents, who are supporting your children, help them with their journey, teach them tenacity and to advocate for themselves and to be their voice and to keep trying, because failure is where we succeed. It's where we learn how to
Yes.
become better. And I think I could easily point to Sophia Hoffman as the poster child of late of that. And we're going to hear even more about that. But as parents, we want the best for our kids. And I know as heartbreaking as it is for you, it's even more heartbreaking for your parents, because your parents are awesome people.
They are.
And you also got your younger brother, who's probably one of your biggest fans too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he always shows it.
Yeah, he doesn't
but-
always show it, but
but
he loves me.
He does. He does. And
And
you
he's
love
doing
him.
great stuff too. My parents are tough
Yeah.
parents, but in a good way. It's a tough way.
But let your child learn. Let them experience. Let them trial and fail and try and fail and try and fail, because they will succeed.
Mhm.
And I think that, again, that's the message that we kind of want to deliver in this podcast today.
Mhm.
And we got more to talk about, but I just want to put it out there for some of the viewers is, love your children unconditionally, believe in them unconditionally. But the best thing is that their failure is actually going to make them stronger for the next time.
Mhm. Actually, I'd like to add on to that.
Yeah.
My parents are the reason why I am sitting in this room talking about this, having my face on the screen. Like, I would not be able to do what I am doing, and I mean, did, if it wasn't for my mom and my dad and my family, which is my support system. No matter what I went through, the trial and tribulations and the ups and downs, the roller coaster that I went through, who was always there was my mom and my dad to pick me back up when I was like, dang it, this didn't work out. It was a matter of like, just keep going. And I think my dad really taught me that just keep going, like get it back up on your feet. Like it's not, like you don't learn anything by succeeding.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more. So we've talked about pursuing now. So what is one of your biggest takeaways from your experience on The Voice?
That's a great question too. My biggest takeaway from being on The Voice was probably my biggest takeaway to be so rooted in who you are. Like I knew going into this, I knew that I had to stay as true to who I was as possible, or who I am as possible. I could not try to change myself or my story to try to make me feel like, or, I knew I was going to be on this like public platform that, had power. And I knew that the only way for me to like really get or achieve my goals, it was to be like who I authentically am. And with, the mess that I am, the beautiful mess that I am, I'm young, I'm figuring stuff out. I knew that I will look back one day, because obviously I'm going to change and grow and evolve, but I will look back one day and feel so proud of myself just for being who I am and not changing for other people to make me fit in or be better. But I think that was my biggest takeaway. Be yourself on stage, the way you carry yourself, the way you walk onto that stage and walk off that stage, like do a hand movement, give some sass. Like that's who I am, Like I know when
I know your mom and dad are laughing
Yeah,
right now, like
yeah.
I am. Because they, that's Sophia.
Yeah.
That's
I knew
Sophia.
it. When I got that pink bow on, it was game over. Like
You shared with me before the program that one of the takeaways too is, it's a very competitive environment, obviously, and people's heads are in different places in these competitions. And oftentimes you're looking at either another contestant you're paired up with, or contestants through other judges, and you're measuring up. And sometimes there could be a lot of competitiveness. But in the competitiveness, you share with me that you found a best friend.
I did. I got very close to a lot of people on that show. We were all family. It was the most beautiful experience with other people, like literally strangers that I've ever had. It was a beautiful experience. But one person that I clinged onto was my friend Mara Justine, and she's actually The Voice is live tonight, and the finale is tonight. She is a part of the top 5, and she's on Team Nile, and she's representing the team I was on. And she became one of my bestest friends, and I would hang out with her. We would hang out every day. We'd go to the store together, because obviously we were living in a hotel for 2 months, 3 months on end. So we were, we needed to take care of ourselves. So we were also away from our family. So we kind of just like clinged on to each other. We kind of had like the same family background and same values. We'd pray every night before we went to sleep. When our schedules came out, we would always text each other and like, oh, have a great day today. Like praying for you. Hope everything goes well. She was my rock. She Her and I mean, I never really had that in the friendship. I think it was beautiful to experience a friendship so deep because I was going through this crazy process with another person who understood. We were sharing the same core memories, you know? It was a very, beautiful God-given friendship, I would say.
So I want to point out something really quickly that she said, because we see only a glimpse
Mhm.
in her performance when we watch her on TV. But I hope you caught something that she said that is the reality of this type of life. And if you choose this kind of lifestyle, you heard that she mentioned that she spent 2 to 3 months in a hotel away from family.
Mhm.
That is a character builder.
It was hard.
That builds independence, self-sufficiency.
Mhm.
But a lot of times, as we look at the world of entertainment, we don't see the bigger picture. And I love pulling back the curtains on things. First of all, I am very proud of you for praying.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
And second of all, I'm very proud of you for embracing the diversity within the group and finding a friend like that. But also being honest to say, hey, what you see again in the show is just a blip on the screen compared to all the practice and
Right.
rehearsals and
Mhm.
only the drudgery of day in, day
Yeah.
out, doing things to be able
I
to keep your attitude positive,
Yeah.
to put it all out there on stage. It's not like
Mhm.
you just go home and decide to show up, for your performance and go back home again. There's a life behind that.
Mhm.
And it's a life of it's controlled.
Mhm.
It's somewhat scripted in a sense of what you can and can't do,
Mhm.
things you can and cannot say in public, because,
Mhm.
we did write a story on you and we had to go through your publicist. We were talking about
Mhm.
that. So her life actually becomes very controlled for a period of time. So
Mhm.
for those of you who are looking into that industry, just keep in mind that there are some things you do give up too for a period of
Yeah.
time. You give up a little bit of not your identity, but of your freedom.
Yes. I definitely had to drop you know, it was honestly really hard. I would look at my phone and all my friends were going out, having fun, doing things that teenagers would do, and I was like, "Dude, I'm sitting on my couch right now, like or my bed in a hotel. I'm looking out this window and I see this, like, Hollywood, picture, and I'm like, "Dang, like, wow, my life definitely altered," but it was in a way that I knew was God's plan.
Oh, I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
And actually, it was also, hard. It wasn't TV makes everything look magical and put
Yeah.
together. I had a vocal lesson at like midnight and it was really hard because my voice was gone. I mean, imagine I got back from a really long day at rehearsal, then I have a vocal lesson downstairs and it's 12. It was at midnight. And I was like, hey, guys, this is crazy.
And then you had to be up early the next morning.
Had to be early the next morning
Wow.
for wardrobe dress
Yeah.
rehearsal.
So again, this is why I love podcasts, unscripted podcasts, because we really want to show you. And again, this is not to deter you. This is to help you understand the rules of the game. If you, again, are a parent or a young person who's tuning in who want to learn what is it like to be a contestant on The Voice or those other programs, there's a lot more to it. So here's the big question. I'm going to ask this. This is not the last question, but I think this is the big question. Is Sophia Hoffman going to audition for the third time?
Well, that I do think about that sometimes. I really do. But it's not I honestly, I feel like if I would go back a third time, it would have to be when I'm a little more maybe in my like mid-20s, when I'm a little more secure in who I am as an artist, more of like I have a strong sense of self. I feel like imposter syndrome was pretty real.
Mhm.
I kind of came from graduating high school, going to college for a year, and then going on The Voice. It was just like, whoa, like who am I? Kind of force you to like, understand who you are. I think if I were to go back a third time, it would be when I have a strong sense of self as an artist. And but I would go back a third
You
time.
would?
I mean,
Okay, good.
I would, but it would take some convincing and persuading.
Okay.
So it's a maybe, I think.
So, all right. So let's form the Sophia Hoffman fan club and let's start writing letters to encourage her. It is your journey.
Yes.
So whether you go back for the third time or not, I know that success is on the horizon for you.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
whatever that is, but you definitely have the talent. You've definitely showed it.
Thank
Just
you.
to get on the show, to get where you're at, puts you in a very small percentage in the industry.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
again, just to remind people, There are successful actors, actresses, and performers who were told by professionals early in their career that they didn't have what it took.
Mhm.
They proved them wrong. Or they didn't win that competition, or they weren't that crowned princess, or they weren't that um, final contestant. But there are stories after stories of people, because of tenacity and
Mhm.
integrity and hard work, who prove them wrong. And I won't go into it, but I think one of the greatest stories in history is Lucille Ball.
Mhm.
And if you read her story, uh, you will find that she had everything stacked against her, and yet she became one of the greatest singers and actresses of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So again, a program like The Voice, as great as it is, does not define a person.
Yes, I
Right?
agree with you.
It's you define it. You control your destiny. The Voice is just
It's a little kick up there, though.
it's just a stage for you to perform,
hmm
to build your brain. Great.
hmm
So that being said, what advice would you give to people, to young people, or people of any age? Because I don't know if The Voice actually has an age.
13 is the youngest.
13 and the oldest.
I'm not sure. We had a
Okay.
contestant that was 50 years old.
Okay, so let's say 13 to 50 so far historically, who want to say, hey, I think I've got what it takes to be a contestant on The Voice or one of those other programs. What piece of advice or pieces of advice would you give them?
Don't stop. It's just like, I mean, I know it just goes through one ear out the other, but like seriously, like just don't stop. Like I auditioned for this show 3 times before I got on. I auditioned for America's Got Talent. I auditioned for American Idol. That's like 3 shows I auditioned for multiple times, you know? It wasn't an easy like road. It wasn't an easy, thing to get to, and I feel like anything that is so great and big isn't gonna be like it's not gonna come to you like this. And I kinda learned that as I got older. I was like, "Sophia, this isn't just gonna come to you," you know? I feel like in a way, you have to, like, call yourself out a little bit and ask yourself, "How bad do I want this?" I ask myself that with every goal that I have. So it's not just with singing, it's with every goal and dream you have. I never thought that I'd ever be talking about this in my life, but I got myself here, and it's because I didn't stop. And the same way with fitness, and working out. I used to have the worst relationship with my body. I used to have the worst relationship with myself, with food, with eating, with health. I hated working out. You can ask my dad. I hated going on hikes. I hated all that stuff. It wasn't that I hated it. It was just I was just so insecure. I feel like when you come to terms with who you are and what hurts and you lean with that is where you find your truth. And I feel like the because I am here and sitting here with these people around me and having this whole thing, like, just being so present in this moment is because I didn't stop, and I didn't stop at all. I promised myself something, and I kept that promise to myself. So it's just all about, honestly, the relationship you have with yourself and just keep going.
You said you would not audition the third time until you were in your mid-20s because you wanted to be more secure. You just proved yourself wrong.
Yeah.
What you just said right there, I think proved to myself, my producer, our audience, that you have the maturity of a 25-year-old.
Thank you.
It is amazing to hear, and thank you for saying that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of parents and a lot of young people who've experienced those challenges, either
for
body
sure.
shaming, low
It's
self-esteem.
hard now too.
It is.
With social media and everything.
So when you're performing, everyone is either second guessing themselves or they believe they are better than what they actually are. And I know that sounds brutal, but
Mhm.
did you surround yourself with people who were committed to being honest with you? Like, obviously you had a voice coach and you had an acting coach, and those were
Mhm.
the people that were like, "Hey, you're
Yeah.
not there yet.
Yes.
You're not hitting that note. You're not hitting that cue. You're
Mhm.
not." But did you also have people outside of that that were also
Kept it real.
that kept it real, that said, you are good, but
Something's
you
missing.
still you're getting there? I mean, and do you think that's important for young performers to have people like that around, people that love them, that people that give them unconditional love and respect, but also people who are not going to tell them what they want to hear, but to tell them, you know what, you're getting better, you're getting better, you're getting closer, we believe in you, but maybe you need more voice lessons, more acting lessons, more public speaking lessons
Mhm.
to polish that. Did you have people like that around you that
Yes.
that kept you grounded?
Yes, I feel like you can't escape criticism. You can't escape criticism or with other people and criticism from yourself. I mean, my mom was or my mom is, correction, is the strongest woman I know. Um, and she also, I mean, she kept it so real with me. Actually, what you guys don't know is I wanted to audition for The Voice. I mean, I was saying I wanted to when I was in middle school. I wasn't ready to audition for it. And the person that told me I wasn't ready was my mom. She said, "You have to keep singing because I don't want you to humiliate yourself on TV." I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's hard to hear in the moment. You're like, dang, nobody believes in me. Oh my God, this sucks. But she was so right. I mean, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't have my mom to kind of guide me in a sense and tell me like, you're honestly not ready. My mom has always been my second pair of ears. I had mine, but I also had my mom's. And I was, singing to my mom and I would perform songs in front of my mom. And she was my first audience before The Voice and everyone else became my audience. And that was where, the harsh kind of not harsh, but the things I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear came through.
Yeah. And that is tough, isn't it?
Yes.
It is tough.
It was. But coming from my mom, who I knew loved me, it made it easier.
And it was said in love.
Yes.
And trust me, I know your parents love you to
They
death.
do.
So then, what does the future hold for Sophia Hoffman? Singing, I think, will always be part of you.
For
And
sure.
I believe, and I hope that you continue to pursue to craft your skill.
Mhm.
But what's your backup plan?
I am currently a second year at Chico State, and I switched around my majors. I was a psychology major at first, and then I changed it to music, like recording arts. And now, confidently, I can say I am a communications public affairs major with a minor in marketing. So I definitely wanted to stick in with the realm of talking in front of people. I want to talk. I want to be able to share my story, or I know that with communication period, public affairs period, I could go into so many different avenues. And all I know is that what I want to do in the future is, continue on my craft and work on that. But I also want to take advantage of like the gift that I have of being able to be vulnerable in front of people, talk to people. And also like on the business side, I grew up seeing my dad um, all the time in a business light. Even now, my dad, the advice he gives me, it's always from a business perspective and standpoint. And I've been to all of my dad's like Rotary. I've helped in building a house in Tijuana. Like I've done all these different things with my dad being a part of these like really big projects. It's always kind of just like sparked something in me, in my heart. And I think that's why I want to continue onto the road of business, period. And if that's taking over my family business someday and my last name, so be it. I would my dad's always talking to people, having meetings with people.
Why don't you give a shout out to your dad and his business name? I'll let you do
Oh
that.
yeah. David Hoffman's Hoffman and Hanono Insurance.
Okay.
Located on
Otay Lakes Road.
Otay Lakes Road.
And if you actually go to work for the company, you'd be third generation.
Yes, I would.
Because your grandfather started
Yes,
that
I
company,
would.
didn't he?
Yes, he did. And I feel like, in a sense, it's my duty. It's in my last name.
And it's actually very good. It's a commercial insurance company. And she's right. I am biased because I've known her father and mother for many years. David is also a good friend of mine, a fellow Rotarian, and someone who I share leadership with in Rotary. I replaced your father actually as assistant district governor as he moved up. So again, I can tell you that if you were just to take Sophia by her genealogy of the family she came from, she is destined for success. But I will tell you that if you've met her mother and father, they are very professional, very calm, very kind person. Everyone's asking, like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Because you are very boisterous. You got great expression. You have a strong voice, and you got a sass.
Yes,
You just quote yourself.
Yes.
Which is something that I think your parents are thinking, where did this come from?
Yeah, for sure.
But they embrace it and they love it, and we love it and embrace
Thank
it.
you.
So I hope you really enjoyed kind of this brief conversation, and I'm hoping that we may have you back again in the future as maybe the entertainment. I do want to go back quickly. So you talked about communications.
Mhm.
Have you thought about that side of it in Hollywood?
Definitely. I feel like Hollywood's all business. We talked about this before the podcast started. Hollywood is business. I feel like it's a game. I feel like in order for you to know how Hollywood works, you have to learn how to talk, who you know, connection. It's communication. It's about how you talk to people, what people you're even talking to, period. I mean, communication, I feel like would just take you far in Hollywood, just knowing that you just know the skills on how to talk to people.
Right.
And it's like how you get a job too.
So it opens a lot of doors
Mhm.
in what you're doing.
Mhm.
So any last words to our audience before we say goodnight and Merry Christmas?
One last thing, just don't stop. I mean, I'm just gonna keep saying it, just don't stop.
Some of the greatest minds and some of the greatest orators have always said that never, 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 never give up.
Mhm.
You're going to hear it in so many different ways. And I second that. I know it's cliche, and I know you probably heard this if you're dreaming and pursuing, opportunities in a career in entertainment, but it's that simple.
Mhm.
You got to show up. You got to give it 100%. You've got to commit to it. You got to eat,
Commit.
drink, live, breathe, and it comes with a price.
Time.
And you heard about just a small part of it is of being, you know, almost sequestered in a hotel room for 2 or 3 months during these processes. So that's a little bit. I would encourage, if they can, for anybody to reach out to you. I don't know if you've got a
do.
Instagram.
Mhm.
What's that Instagram handle?
It's literally Sophia, Sophia Hoffman, Hoffman, but it's 3 N's, so Mannn. And you'll see it. You'll see it.
Perfect. And she's a kind person. Her heart is true. She is the darling of Chula Vista. We are very proud to call her one of our daughters of our city.
Thank you.
And blessings to you in your
Thank you so
future.
much.
If whatever you do, you will bless other people.
Thank you.
And speaking of blessings, I want to thank our sponsors again for blessing us and supporting us. That is Kevin and Kimberly Marcia with CopyLink, and the City of Chula Vista's food waste program, Feed the Green. You know what that means? Please help our environment. Put trash where it belongs. On non-recyclables, non-combustible stuff goes in the black. That's pretty much just certain plastics that are recyclable, styrofoam. But in the blue, of course, most of the recyclable plastics, aluminums, metals, papers, cans, bottles. And in the green, pretty much everything else. And you're going to be hearing more about this. And that includes grease, chicken bone, pizza cartons with the grease on it, fat from meat, all that, plus your grass trimmings and your tree trimmings and your foliage waste. That all gets composted into usable compost with Republic Services, and then is brought back into the community to help cover other ground. So it is the circle of life, you could say, in repurposing. So get your caddy if you want what's called a kitchen caddy. It's a blue caddy that you can put by your sink to put all the stuff in. Just go to the City of Chula Vista at 276 4th Avenue. Go to, I think, Building C, go downstairs to where the food waste program is, and they'll give you a free caddy, or catch them at any of the community events they participate. They're free again. Ask for your kitchen caddy. And then again to Minnie Reslovsky with 24K Realty, my broker, my friend, and just truly a great person. If you're looking to buy or sell a house, that's Minnie Reslovsky, Realty 24 International. That's it for now. Thank you for my host, Sophia Hoffman.
Thank you.
We are a few days away from Christmas. I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and please continue to bless other people as have you been blessed too.
Amen.
Goodbye.